Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, mompreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host. And today I'm here with Neena Pandey. She is a great example of somebody who is not only a powerhouse in what she does, but somebody who has taken the male-dominated industry and been able to insert herself into that. And so without further ado, Neena, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Cherise. Great to be here. Hello, listeners. I'm so glad to be here and to be able to talk to you. My name is Neena, and I grew up in India, came here, and then I was a marketing executive in Silicon Valley for 16 years, and always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was always afraid to leave my full-time job and my life behind and, getting into something unfamiliar, uncharted water. But finally, I took a plunge and I have not looked back ever since. Created three businesses, first business in education, then I created a home decor company, and then my latest fashion brand, my education company. It was America's and Canada's fastest growing franchise in under 1 year. And then my home decor company, we hit $1 million run rate with no paid ads, with no paid ads and no marketing expense. So, and we can talk about more of that, and you can follow me and see how I did it. But bottom line is it's possible. And then my latest fashion brand, the String Code, it's based out of New York. We are yet to launch it. It's Spring Summer 2025 a collection, but we're already in a couple of stores in New York. We are in World Trade Center. We are a couple of locations in Miami, Costa Rica, Hampton. So now I am also, which I always wanted to do since beginning, I am also a coach, and I help people who were in my shoes, who are in my shoes, like how I was 8 years ago. Really wanted to start my own business, but really afraid to leave my job. And I also help people to start something along the side while being in the job, because not everyone can afford to leave their full-time income and do something. So you can take it slow, create a side hustle, and then quickly grow it. And when you start seeing results, you can leave your job. But I'm so passionate about this because I was talking to Cherise right before this, and it's really important to be able to balance your work life and your home life. And we realized very late that we missed out so much on your kids, on when they're growing up. I missed when my son took his first step because I was traveling. But here, one message which I want to give to the listeners is it's not that in entrepreneurship, it's not that you're working any less. Actually, you're working more, you're taking more risks, so you're more stressed. But you have freedom to choose when you want to work. You can stay up all night and you can be there for that event in the afternoon for your son or your daughter. So it's a balance. Doesn't mean that you work any less. At least that's not how I want to portray it in front of my students. So with that in mind, I'm sorry it was a long introduction, but I just wanted to, touch upon my profile so people know who they're talking to.
I'm glad that you went into more detail because we didn't talk about some of that stuff before. And I'd love to hear when people, you started your journey 8 years ago and now you've opened three different companies. And I want to specifically talk about the one where you did not spend any ad spend and you made $1 million on your home decor company. So how did you do that?
Yeah, and as I was saying that I have a background in marketing. So I work for companies like Sun, Oracle, Citrix, and then I launched a completely new tech product it was basically a new product in a new market. So it was a lot about even educating the market. And we ended up selling the company to another. So bottom line is it's really about innovative ways to reach out to your audience. And it's mostly 99% about the right messaging once you reach out to the right target audience. So I found out who the correct audience was for me, because even if you have the right messaging, but you are reaching out to the wrong audience set, it'll kill your marketing efforts. So for me, knowing where my target market resides reaching out to them through the right channel, in which in this case, unpaid channels, which is email marketing was huge for me. I got my first $1 million client through email marketing, cold messaging. I just wanted to add that because generally people think that, okay, I bought a list and then I knew, but here it was cold outreach, although I looked up the people who, I was reaching out to. So they were the right people, but cold outreach. And it was such that, when I'm talking about that client my first $1 million client through email marketing, it wasn't even the right audience. It was basically, this was an West Coast buyer, but all big retail companies, they have East Coast buyer and a West Coast buyer. So I had the email address. I found the email address of the East Coast buyer, but my messaging was so appropriate that she ended up forwarding that to my West Coast buyer and say that, hey, although they are totally different people, they don't really, have any bearing on each other's performances, right? I mean, in a way, they are competing for some products, some product lines. But then she reached out to them because it was the same company and she wanted a good vendor to come on board. So I would say that, and and I have been doing marketing ever since social media was not so huge, right? Now it's all about Instagram, how to reach out to people, low ticket offer, high ticket offer. But if you have your messaging right, if you have the content right, then any marketing channel that you use is going to produce results for you. So I would just say that in this new age, and everybody just needs to think about how to create content that resonates with their target audience.
So did you test it with people to see how it resonated, or because you're so experienced in the marketing, you knew? Or did you do research? How did you figure out your avatar?
I have been very experienced, but for every new market that you are targeting, for every new product that you're targeting in the same market, you need to figure out who is your avatar, what are their problems. It's a constant, and even after you launch, how much ever big you are, it's a constant process of figuring out if you are still on the right track, right? Because things change a lot. And there are many tools to test out who your avatar is and if they're still aligned. One huge thing which was not there in the previous days was social listening. Now you can be on Instagram and, TikTok and all these channels, and you can really talk to your target audience, which is a huge deal. You can listen to the kind of conversations they are having. You can listen, and, one great thing is, even if you know the customer problems and you are communicating it the right way, as in you are honing in on that particular problem, you don't know how is your target audience framing that problem, what words they are using. Because you may be using something which is about the same problem, but the target market in their minds, they're wording it differently. And that also makes or breaks thing. So now with social media, with all the tools that we have available, we can really listen to what the target market is talking about, and we can adjust our messaging accordingly.
I love that. Okay, so let's go to your third business, which you're working right now. How did you get into that, and how did you find the contacts to be able to start to deliver your product and get it placed into stores?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and it's very close to my heart because if I talk about my background, I have a degree. I did my master's. I mean, I am from a fashion school, but I did my master's. I was more in the business side of things, and that's why, and product development and all those good things. But I did my MBA from US and I moved to technology again, doing marketing. But this is like coming back. This is like homecoming for me because I have that, I have, product development experience and marketing experience. And now I'm going back to creating a line. I mean, this was in my cards for a long time. I always wanted to do a women's wear brand. And that hit home more when I was working in Silicon Valley, and the genesis of this entire business idea was that I felt that there was lack of fashionable clothes for working women. That's how it started. And the way I was, I always, I think this has to do with psychology, and this is also the reason why I started my brand, is when, when I looked beautiful, when I feel beautiful from inside, then it has a tremendous impact on my confidence.
Yeah.
So, say if I'm walking into a conference room and I know that, I'm looking good, it's not how others are perceiving me, it's about how I am perceiving myself. So if I know that I'm looking good, I'm feeling confident from inside, and the next presentation that I'm gonna give, I'm gonna nail it.
Mhm.
So that's always the pattern, right? Because if you feel, and that's how the clothes play such a huge role in in our psychology and also in our confidence level. It's interesting because in Silicon Valley, high fashion was not the norm. It's still not the norm in tech companies. But I created my own norm. I
Mhm.
mean, I never was inappropriate, never am, but I wore what I wanted to wear because I knew that if I am comfortable in my skin, if I am who I am, then the next step that's I'm gonna take is gonna create a ripple effect. I will also be who I am in my work,
Mhm.
right? Because if you are emulating somebody, then not you
Mhm.
are not delivering at your peak performance.
Mhm.
So, and that was how this women's wear brand originated. It had a different name. It had the name Stree, which means woman in India. But when you're starting something, there are a lot of tweaks and pivoting. So that was the idea, but now it's called the String Code. This is a brand based out of New York, and it's for post-COVID women. We are always juggling, like, many of your listeners are also juggling between picking kids from daycare and, for that evening drinks and then going to the office. So, how you can confidently move from one situation or one scenario to another without having to compromise on style, without having to compromise on fashion. So, because it's fashion and style, it's not for others, it's for yourself, right? At least that's how I perceive it. So, this is really an attempt to give people the power to create their own style, to feel great, to feel confident, and also be able to fit in different roles in your daily lives, right? Because in the morning you are a mom who is dropping a kid, and in the afternoon you could be a boss who is trying to give a presentation. I mean, there are different roles that we play in our daily lives. And this brand is an attempt to empower women to be able to do that very confidently.
Mhm.
So, to answer your question on how did I get the stores and buyers to take this? So, although I have, and my past, I have degree, I went to a fashion school, but every business is very different. I knew how to create a product, but I did not really know how to get into those stores, how to take my product to the market. So, every business is an opportunity to learn.
Mhm.
And my only regret is that I tried to do it all on my own, and I learned through failures. So it was a lot of failing, getting up, pivoting again,
Mhm.
and doing things, which is also, I was, telling you that, this brand had a different name. I rebranded, I mean, I changed everything
Mhm.
and even changed the collection, although it was a beautiful collection. But then now I went to the market, had the right contacts, went with the right story, targeted the right people. So I think it's a matter of just think of a Lego structure, right? You need to have every little thing right.
Mhm.
And even if one thing is wrong, then the entire structure would come crumbling. I think it's a lot of learning. And if I have to go back and do these things, I would probably take some guidance, maybe get a mentor,
Mhm.
because it's not worth it that, you are not only losing
Mhm.
money. I mean, I can tell you, I have 250K. I lost 250K on that first venture. I
Uh-huh.
still have inventory in my garage,
Mhm.
it was very expensive collection. It's not worth it because, you're not only losing money, on doing things the wrong way, but you're losing on your time to market. And I say that the most important thing of all is, if you're taking too long and if you lose too much of money, then most people, they think that they don't have it in them and they lose their morale, which is the worst thing to lose, in my opinion. So I would just, tell your listeners that if you are thinking about it, it's better to have some guidance and not do it the way I did by learning from failures, because failure is a very expensive teacher, right?
Not just the money, it's also the time, because you can usually, if you have the contacts, get it out quicker. I sometimes I'll watch Shark Tank and I'm like, these people are asking for 250,000. That's not that much. Why on earth are they going and offering 25% of their company or 30% to get 250,000, right? But it's not just the ownership, it's how much more could they sell? And I think somebody said it well when they said, would you rather have 70% of $5 or would you rather have like 30% of $100,000? Like, let's do the math, right? And so you're always trying to figure that out. Then some people, they're like, nope, I'm going to bootstrap my way. There's no way I'm going to do anything. And others are like, nope, I want the time. I want to fast track. So I really think you have to sit down and think, what are your goals and what are you trying to accomplish? And if you can fast track it and you have connections, great.
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the things which I corrected this time with string code, is that I am now partners with people and I give them a bigger chunk. Because you know what? I think you just said it so accurately that 30% of zero is zero, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I think that that's exactly spot on. That, if you need to, I mean, you need to put bigger stakes in the ground if you want to make it big.
It's true. It's very true. And you learn a lot more. So, what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody that is starting out and they're wanting to get into the business? Because we haven't even talked about I know time has gone by so quickly, but we haven't really talked about how you were in the male-dominated industry and you had your W-2 while you're still doing some businesses. So, what is some advice that you would give somebody that does have their W-2 but wants to start a business?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because that's also one of the tenets of my coaching, because not everyone can leave their business and start their own company, right? Because there's a paycheck coming in, especially in Silicon Valley, you need two people earning, right?
Mhm.
And people have constraints. But the one piece of advice which I want to give people is, first of all, figure out if entrepreneurship is the right path for you. And I want to say that because I mean, it's not really about whether you want to be an entrepreneur and all the things that come along with it. To be very blunt, it's not about whether, if I'm offering you something, if you become my client or not. Even to my students, I have a coaching program where I have a coaching and I guide people on every step of the way, on offer creation, marketing, sales. But before I even sign up a client, I personally make sure, not my sales team, I talk to the people, who are coming into my program, and we discuss. I try to find out if entrepreneurship is the right path for them, because you maybe, and it if entrepreneurship is not the right path, it doesn't mean that you won't be successful. You could be doing amazing in your career, in your corporate job, but you need to have the mindset if you are going to be an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
because 80% of companies fail in their first 3 years, because it's not because the founders didn't have the skill set, or they didn't have the money. It's because they didn't have the right mindset. And what I mean by that is, the only constant thing in business or even in life is that things are always changing, is the change. So if you hit a roadblock, if you hit failure, you need to have the mindset of constantly getting up. Yes, you can do all the crying that you want to. I was, for a 24 hours, I would just, be in my bed and under a pillow crying. But then, yes, after that, you need to get up and you need to pivot, and you need to start the next thing. Because great companies were built not because the founders had the idea of what exactly the end product would be,
Mhm.
but because for every failure, they got up, they said, oh, what didn't work? They pivoted, and then they they started something, basically, they changed that, they pivoted, and they came up with another offering or another deviation of the same offering. And then in the end result was something which was way bigger than they could even think
Mm-hmm.
when, they started. Things like companies like Amazon and Google, all these companies started from a garage. Did they think that they would be where they are now? They didn't have that vision. So basically, first of all, mindset. And we do a mindset exercise before I take on any new client. And then the second thing is, yes, you can start slow. You can always test the water when you are still working. You can, find out, you can start something on the side. And when that things becomes promising, then you can leave your job. So it's success isn't about doing it all at once, right? It's about doing what matters most consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say focus on building systems that work for you, right? Just maybe even if you can give 1 hour per day, 1 hour every two days, just small things, leverage on the power of collaboration. Remember that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Stay patient, stay persistent. I remember in one of the podcasts, they asked me if you were to say in one word, what brought you here? What made you who you are today? I would say persistence. Because most of the people, when they don't see progress, when they go through things, they stop moving forward. So I would say if you are doing the right things, if you are working hard, if you're giving your 100% for how much ever short amount of time, even if you're not able to do it full time, part time, whatever time you're allocating, if you're persisting, if you're in the right direction, success will follow. You just need to be persistent. You need to trust the process. Because most of the people, I would say 90% of people who are not successful is because they didn't trust the process, they gave up too soon. So small intentional steps lead to lasting impact. That's my message to your audience.
I love that. And if we had more time, I'd give you examples of every single one because it's so true. I mean, go read about Walt Disney or get my book over there and read about Walt
Uh-huh.
Disney because it's in the book. And it is talking about don't allow failure to break you down because you could just be around the corner from something great. And they talk about that.
Exactly. I
Uh,
love that. Yeah. And I heard about I saw your book. I still have to go and read it.
yeah,
It's amazing, right? I mean, how these books, and also one piece
yeah,
of advice, read something, read books.
yeah.
It's even if you have 10 minutes in a day, they give so much of power. When I feel really down, I pick up a book or I listen to some self-help videos on YouTube. I think they inspire you so much, right? To lead a life that
Yeah.
you've always thought about leading.
Yep, because you can always glean. Reading is so important. I love that. Okay, I know we're over time, but there's one more that I really do want to touch on because you have been, I was in the education industry where it is all men, right? So it's a good old boys club, and sometimes it's really hard, especially in the tech industry, to be able to break into that. So, what is some advice that you would give to women who are in that industry and how they can promote themselves in that male-dominated? And I don't like to say that because I'm not a male hater. I love like both sexes. We need them. But what is your advice that you would give people?
So, yeah, I mean, our husbands are male, our kids are male, but it's just about mentality, right? Which sometimes play a role in
Right.
undermining, right? Okay, so the one piece of advice which I want to give, stay true to yourself, stay true to your superpowers.
Mhm.
And so I will just a quick example that when I came from fashion, then came to tech, and then when I started my job in tech, I was so intimidated, not only male, but also engineers, and I didn't have any technical background. So
Mhm.
for a while, I tried to emulate them. I would buy this thick technical books and I would try to read this so I could appear intelligent, I could sound intelligent in their eyes. But I very quickly realized that they didn't hire me for my technical skills. If I was just by doing that, I'm just setting myself up to be just another engineer, but way inferior one because I didn't have technical skills. But if I acted on my superpowers, which is marketing,
Mhm.
then I would be able to add value. Uh, provide value in an area where they needed me the most. I would wear, in technology, I would, wear short skirts, of course, not mini skirt, but then very appropriate. But then not many women, even today in Silicon Valley, especially engineering, wear it, not even in marketing. But then very quickly, when they saw that I have something to offer, for lack of better words, that I know less, then they started respecting me. So earn your respect by doing what you do the best, giving your 100%, and do not give away your individuality. Whatever it is it, whatever you're wearing, how you're talking, is it a tattoo, your hair, doesn't matter. Be who you are, but be absolutely stud in what you do.
Yeah.
That's what my
100% agree with that. Say amen to it. Because I was 22 teaching college to a whole bunch of men, probably as old as my dad, and trying to earn their respect at the beginning. Quite quickly, though, I was able to get Instructor of the Year when it's a tech school, and I was a gen ed teacher, and that was their favorite classes, not the stuff that they were in school for. And so I really love that you talk about that, because it is so important to be authentic and believe in yourself and have the confidence, because if you have that confidence walking in, they're going to believe what you have to say. And so,
absolutely, yeah, that's a beautiful example. Yeah, that's absolutely exactly what I was talking about. Let's continue to inspire everyone. You, I, every woman, we are all unique in our own way. It's just so fascinating how everyone brings something to the table.
And I could never be you, and you could never be me, and the world needs both of us. And so I think that that's the thing to remember, is the authenticity. It's such a great message. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to tell your audience that I think you'll post my links, but I am on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Whether or not you're working with me, please connect with me so I can be in your feed, you can be in my feed, we can continue to inspire each other. Because in the end, and that's really the reason behind me naming my company String Code, because we are all connected by a string. We all uplift each other, right? So I want to be that power in your life, and I want you to be that power in my life that uplifts me. So I would love to be connected.
Well, thank you. And if our listeners did want to find you, though, how would they find you?
So they can go to my LinkedIn. It's Neena Pandey. Although best way is to go to my website is neenapandey.com, and you'll find all the social links. Connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And yeah, go and check out my string code collection. It's called The String Code. And for your listeners, Cherise, I would want to extend a special offer. So I can offer a free strategy session if anyone wants to be an entrepreneur, don't know how to start, don't have a niche yet. So I can offer a strategy call, 30-minute long. And for my string code, although it's launching in spring summer 2025, still have stuff available on the website. I can offer a 15% discount for your audience, and I think I can make up the code Cherise 15.
Fantastic. I'll absolutely include that. So thank you. Well, thank you for coming on. And Unbreakable Mompreneurs, I hope that you listen to believe that your authenticity is everything, and that you can achieve what you put your mind to. Just like Neena has had 3 successful businesses, plus what she was successful in, which she didn't even talk about, being on the Forbes Business Council and so many other things that she's done. She's a wonderful inspiration and example of what you can do. So thank you for being on.
Thank you, Cherise. It was very inspiring to hear your story, and I absolutely loved it. Look forward to staying connected to your audience and you.
Absolutely. And moms, go out and make it a fantastic day.
Yes, you have it in you.
Yes. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Cherise Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Cherise Walker.